All right. We're back for hour two. Let's keep this conversation rolling along here.
Get ready to go.
You got it, Coach. Johnny B says, could you do an in-depth of Cam Jackson from Florida? Cam Jackson. Anybody got anything on Cam Jackson as I look him up here? And I'm going to use this trusty little tool and Control F.
Attaboy.
Emilio, you got to have something on him, right? You're the wizard this year so far, aren't you?
No. I mean, Clay's pulling it up right now. Out of Florida, from what I remember, he had a good last year, but PFF doesn't have him on the board, so he's kind of working off just what consensus had him at. Kind of probably a late round guy. Someone Jacob's gonna pull out of the shed, say, hey, I like this dude.
Exactly. So he's currently sitting 190 on the big board. When I say currently, guys, keep in mind that's when we put the information in, and we do that on purpose. We don't want the post shuffling effect to be incorporated in the board. We're doing the post shuffling effect, right? So if you get everybody doing the post shuffling effect, we all just end up with the same board at the very end, and you can just go to a website and get that. So on the consensus big board, he's 190 defensive lineman out of Florida, right? Cam Jackson. He's sitting in the 190 spot on the consensus big board. We do not have him on the PFF big board. PFF 24 grade, though, he was 88th of all defensive linemen. We've currently got him in the 176 spot, Johnny. So, at 176, little bit higher than the consensus big board at 190. Someone to definitely keep an eye on. Now, he's lit up in green because that's that tier 1 of importance, right? He can play 3-tech. So what we've got if you see any name in green, that simply means they're a defensive tackle that can play 3-tech, an edge defender, an offensive tackle, or a quarterback. Okay, those are the 4 positions that we feel like I don't want to put words in your all's mouth, but this is how my board's created every year. That's the most important. So green light means if you've got a cluster of players, right, that are in the top tier of talent, like if we were to go to the very top right now, matter of fact, let's just scroll all the way up here, show you what I'm talking about. Let's say you're picking number 1, and these players are available. Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan. Travis Hunter out of Colorado, cornerback. Abdul Carter, edge out of Penn State. And Ashton Gianti out of Boise State, right? They're all in the same tier, okay? So what I'd be looking at is, all right, who's in the green? Here you go. You've got Mason Graham and you got Abdul Carter. Those are the 2 guys I'd be picking from probably. Unless you've got just a crazy need at corner. We don't have a corner. Then you go, okay, probably going with that need in Hunter. If you don't have a need specified, even if you do have a need and you look up and you need a corner and an edge, even though, let's say Travis Hunter is slightly above Abdul Carter, even though they've got the same grade, I'd probably go with Abdul Carter because that's a position that's more important in my opinion. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Cam Jackson, just real quick, 6'6", 340. He was a 4-star recruit. Strengths, initial quick first step, agile, versatile, high motor. Concerns, lack of production, lack of true position, and holding at the line of scrimmage against double teams.
So it sounds like he's a tweener, right? Could be a 3-tech, could be an edge, maybe, is what they're saying. That makes sense.
Sounds like we need a Deion Walker from Kentucky.
Emilio, he is not stop talking about Deion Walker, dude. I love it. I hope it happens. I really do. And I'm noticing he's starting to creep back up boards again. You know, he dropped quite a bit. You guys remember what I said? Like Kentucky's defense there was something going on there this year for was it Marison or Harrison, I think is his name, dropped significantly. You had Deion Walker drop significantly. There's a linebacker or 2 that dropped significantly. And obviously that team was hot garbage this year. I didn't even make the trip to Lexington this year, boys. I said, you know what? We'll just watch this dumpster fire from a distance on TV this year. So, and some people think Coach Stoops is on the hot seat. We'll see. But he had a rough year as well where I think he had lost his mother, I believe. So it's like, don't want to fire a guy in the midst of all that. Hey, maybe just a bad year. Let's reset next year, right? But Josh Martin says, would you trade 25 first and 26 first and Jair to trade up into the top 5 to draft Travis Hunter?
No.
That's an interesting take there, gentlemen.
No.
I'm going to have to pass on that. I do love Travis, though, but I think I'm going to pass on that.
Yeah. So you're saying you would, and Josh isn't saying he would do that. I don't think he's asking, right? I don't want to put them words in that mouth right there, right? Would you trade? So let's go around. Is there anyone that says they would do that?
No. Negative.
And the reason it's a no for me, dog, is because corner I feel like is not that important. It's important. Don't get me wrong. If it was like a generational talent edge defender, a generational talent Aaron Donald, I can see the argument there. Because, again, you're willing to overpay even with draft compensation for great, not overpay for good, right? But for a cornerback, I can't get on board with it, right? Emilio, did you change something in the board to make it switch to corner?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was just putting in the colors for you. You can go right. You can just start moving around.
It's all good, dude. It's all good. I just want to make sure I didn't do something wrong. I might have hit something.
Emilio is never not updating the board. Even when he's asleep in the race car bed, he's still working on the board.
Yeah, his lady's gonna kick him out of the house if he ain't careful. I've been warning him, like, buddy, don't spend too much time
walking the line.
Be up here sleeping on my couch. I know how this works. All right, we'll go ahead and sort it.
You keep saying, why do I keep hearing you say Travis Hunter in your sleep?
Who's Travis Hunter? I want to know where she lives.
No, he's still saying Travis Glover. Travis Glover.
Yeah.
Exactly. Josh Martin in the chat said, okay, we already hit that one, so we're good there. Prince says, I like 3 Ole Miss prospects early. Walter Nolan, Trey Amos, and Paul Jr. Is he talking about Trey?
It was Chris Paul, wasn't it?
Yeah, Chris Paul Jr. Okay, that's right. Yeah. So, in those positions, if I'm correct here, Walter Nolan, defensive tackle, right? Trey Amos, is he a wide receiver? Is he a corner? You guys remember? He's corner,
I believe.
Corner out of Ole Miss. There you go. So he's Trey Amos, cornerback out of Ole Miss, is sitting in the 22 spot for us. He's 45th on the consensus big board. He was 28th on the PFF big board, and he has gotten better every year. I mean, you're talking about 309th ranked corner in 22, jumped to 160, jumped to 21. So he is just continuing to get better every year that he plays football. I think that's an important piece of information when you're trying to make the right pick as well. So Trey Amos is sitting in the 22 spot. Walter Nolan, he dropped a little bit for us, right, Emilio? We liked him a lot at first. Did he drop that far?
Did he drop? Hold on, let me see.
I don't think he would have dropped that far. Hold on, man. Let me take a look here.
There he is.
There he is.
No, he's 17th. I lied. No, he didn't drop too far.
Yeah, it says 17. He's actually 16th because we got a placeholder in that first column. But, so he's 16th, Walter Nolan. He's sitting 27th on the consensus big board, and he's 33rd on the PFF big board. We like him quite a bit better at 16, so I would be all on board. You guys know I've been very vocal about Walter Nolan. And then, of course, Chris Paul Jr. is the other one, right? And he's a linebacker, so he should be in the blue. So look for the blue. Here we go. We got him in the 67 spot. He's 109 on the consensus big board, 62 in the PFF big board. We have him a little bit in between, but closer to the PFF big board. We got him in the 67 spot.
Because he had a good year last year. He had a real good year last year.
It's a great point. Like in 22, and keep in mind there's probably minimal snaps going back that far. I don't know. Maybe he played the whole season. He was 119th linebacker. He dropped all the way down to 591st in 23. And then he was 20th last year amongst linebackers. So when we make our pick, when we're on the board or when we're on the clock and we're looking at who would we take in this specific situation, that's another cluster buster for me. Emilio, do you see it the same way? And Tim, would you want to go back and go, okay, like for instance, let's say these are the top 2 choices here. Running back Devin Neal, right? Which is hilarious because I drafted him on my Madden league.
I like him a lot. He's nasty in college football, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, he's like – and again, this is video game talk. It means absolutely nothing. But Josh Jacobs in that franchise I'm running, 95 overall, and he's an 88. Devin Neal's an 88 right behind him. I'm like, boy, this 1-2 punch is sick. But anyway, if you were to break it down to these 2 prospects, here's how I would look at it. I go, okay, Devin Neal is slightly better than Chris Paul, right? And then you look at the overall grade. So they're in the same tier. What would be the cluster buster? Well, they're right there together in 24 PFF grade, right? 21st at their position, 20th at their position. Yep. Looky here, 591st as opposed to 49th. You probably use the cluster buster to take Devin Neal in that situation. So I'm not saying Chris Paul isn't great. Let me give you a player that this applies to recently is our boy Edgerrin Cooper. Edgerrin Cooper had a phenomenal last year in college. The year before he wasn't as good. That's why he was slightly lower on my board. And he ended up being an absolute superstar. I think it's important to have more information rather than less. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. Drew D says Chris Paul suffered a concussion and an injured MCL in 2023. So that's probably why he was ranked so low. So that's another thing. He's not currently injured, if I understand correctly, but a little bit of injury history. That stuff's important too. We need to figure out a way to color code that, Emilio. I think we put, if they had an injury this last year, put them in the red, their name red, and then if they had an injury maybe the year before, if we uncover that information, make their name orange. That way.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking, what if we put a red just square in his like whatever year he got hurt?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
You know what I'm saying? Like if he
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
hit him with the bam real quick.
That's perfect.
That is beautiful. See, this is what I'm talking about, guys.
Because then you still got your designation by position. Man, Emilio, I don't care what everybody says about you. You're
I don't care what the borders are says about you.
Yeah, right.
You are phenomenal, sir. No, seriously, man, he's crushing this board. It's awesome. So we're going to.
What were you going to say though, Jacob? Because I don't really care what everyone's saying, but I'd like to hear your compliment.
You're not the brightest crayon, in the
But
box.
you're an amazing person.
Not the sharp.
You're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Let's move it along. We hit that one. Fidel in the chat says, thank you guys for giving great Packers coverage when really there's not much Packers news going on. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you, Fidel. Thanks for hanging out with us, man. This time of the year, what's funny about our channel, many podcasters just kind of drift off into the sunset, and then when Packers come back next training camp or around the draft, they pop back up with content. We try to go live every day, even through the slow time, and, man, our numbers just jump. So if you're watching this and you want to keep up with the Packers this offseason, hit that sub. Feel free to hit like. We appreciate it.
Share it, please.
Yeah, share it with even if they're not your friend, share it with them anyway, okay? That's the way it works. So, J. Cole says, I think we need a corner either way. Don't know if Ja is going to stay healthy. It's a great point, Jay. Here's the thing. We've got corner. I think we need 3. I think we need to add 3 corners to this roster. That's me personally. Now, if Ja comes back, I feel comfortable saying 2, right? And again, doesn't mean he's going to play. But if Ja leaves, if they trade Ja or cut Ja or whatever it is, post June 1 cut, whatever it might be, I think you at least need 3 corners. That's me personally. So 1 being starting caliber and 2 backups. Now, listen, that doesn't mean you go, no, we got our starter. Let's go get a sucky player. That doesn't mean that. It's just simply saying you need to take enough swings to try to find a starting caliber player. And that's why we've mentioned our free agent list here. And again, on our free agent list, my free agent list, I should say, Carlton Davis out of Detroit had a 74.5 PFF grade last year, 28 years old. Byron Murphy, 73.4. He's 27 years old out of Minnesota. And then DJ Reed from the Jets, 28 years old, 70.7 for the right price. Those I would consider good players. They're not great, so you don't overpay for them. But if you can get one of those 3 guys in here, that could potentially be a starter for you as well. So anything you guys want to add to that question?
I agree with J. Cole. I've said that from the beginning. Whether Ja's in the fold or not, we still need depth at corner. And I honestly think we can do both. I think, if we can get somebody in free agency, that'd be great. And I think there's enough cornerback talent in this draft that we could probably draft a guy as well. So I'm with you, Clay. I think it needs to be 3, right?
Yep. And on our short list of corners in the draft, in my opinion, Jahdae Barron out of Texas, Trey Amos out of Ole Miss, Siobhan Ravel out of ECU, Zy Alexander out of LSU, O'Donnell Fortune out of South Carolina, Mac McWilliams out of UCF. He's a slot corner. Keep that in mind. Jahdae Brown is a slot as well, or can play slot.
Jalen Smith out of USC is another one to keep an eye on.
Kobe Bryant out of Kansas, like him a lot. Jabbar Mohammed out of Oregon is another corner to keep an eye on there. So we got several different corners we got our eye on, and my goal is to create a list of I think I'm going to do top 25 or top 50 prospects from the positions of need that I think we have as a team, and I'm going to have that as like my mega cheat sheet when we're in Green Bay doing our live drafts. So that's going to be kind of the plan there. Anything else you guys want to add to that? Nothing. We're good. J. Cole, I hope a lot of these prospects participate in the combine. Let's go around the horn with that, guys. You guys know how I feel, and we can agree to disagree if you differ. How do y'all feel about the combine? Do you feel like it's overrated? Do you think it's huge? Like, what level of importance for the combine?
somewhere in between those two. Somewhere in the middle of that, right? I don't know if it's overrated, but I don't know if it's everything and the be all to end all, right? So, I mean, we all know Jacob is a fan of the combine. You know, anytime dudes are running around their underwear, Jacob's all about it.
Agreed. I mean, I honestly like it. It reminds me. It's the same reason that I love like the quarterback challenge and that kind of stuff. I'm interested to see how much of a freak athlete these guys are in certain ways. I am starting to get a little bit tired of like the top 10 guys just kind of walking away like they're too good or like, but I understand too that it's kind of a chess game where it's like you don't want to compromise millions of dollars from you falling just, you know, a number of picks. So it's strategically, I understand why maybe their agents or while certain players don't do certain things at a combine to jeopardize any sort of standing that they have, but I like it. I'd like to see what we have on paper, but we have to remember that the combine is, once again, it's just a tool. It's not the end all be all. You have to use that in addition to things like a PFF grade or, you know what I mean, certain stats. And then you look at what they do on the field and you put that all together and package it into the best possible pick you could make.
I think it's true. Who was the dude that ran like a 4.28? So, I mean, there's some aspects to it. He ended up grading out second best, I think.
Worthy?
Corner.
Isn't that Worthy?
Yeah. So I think he was second best behind Coop. So, I mean, it's there's some merit to it, definitely, but not anything that we need to, you know, lean the entire year on.
No, definitely. Let's see here. Holmes MD1 says the underwear Olympics are meh. Pro days are better. And it depends on how you look at that, right? Like Holmes, because some people look at it like, with the combine, and I can understand both sides of the argument. With the combine, you're taking them out of their comfort zone. Well, let me tell you something. When you get to the NFL, you're outside of your comfort zone. So when you take them and put everybody – I know what this is like firsthand. And let me explain what I mean. I had 2 college baseball tryouts, right? And one of them was at Tennessee Wesleyan College. And I remember getting that invite to go and try out for their baseball team. And I was so excited. I was fired up. Let me tell you something. The day of, it starts to set in. And when you pull up to that tryout and you see literally hundreds of other baseball players taller than you, faster than you, stronger than you, you're like, there's something that sets in and it's like a survival mechanism. It's like, oh crap. And for me, I get pissed off. That's, you know, if I feel like somebody's threatening me, I don't go, oh no, what's going to happen? The anger just takes over me completely. And that tryout, I will never forget, because when I went out there, it was just like, oh, okay, I didn't know it was going to be all this. It really tests how you handle adverse situations. And usually I suck in that scenario. That day, though, let me tell you, Bob, I got 10 pitches because there were so many prospects there, all 10 of them, and I scatter shot it. And I went left, center, right, center, left. I'm looking around going, these dudes are hitting the ball freaking 350 feet, right? And I can't do that. I'm a shortstop. So it's like shortstop and pitcher. So I'm like, I'm going to show in the on-deck circle, I'm thinking, I'm going to show this coach I can scatter the ball. I can control where I hit it, right? And try to stick out. Do something to stick out. If a player goes in there and they go, I don't care if there's that many people here, I ain't competing. To me, that's a red flag, right? So if it's, I don't want to compete at the combine, I'll see y'all at my pro day. That would be the equivalent to me telling Tennessee Wesleyan, hey, listen, no, I ain't coming to that tryout. You guys come over here to Cumberland, Kentucky, and I'll show you what I can do.
Yeah.
You know, be like, right? Get the hell out of here, right? So what were you going to say, Emilio?
No, I was saying, yeah, you wanted him to come play on your field, the tilted one, so that you could hit it kind of over the hill there. Yeah.
Exactly.
The back, the outfield kind of drops off into the hills.
They couldn't measure the distance of the ball because the raccoons grab it out of the wood.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever, that type of thing, you know. So, no, but I don't know if that makes sense. I'm big on, like, I want them to go to the combine. And if a player doesn't go to the combine, I'm not going to lie. It throws a little bit of a flag to me. Like, they're not wanting to compete.
We saw that with Marvin Harrison Jr. last year, right? He didn't go to the combine. He knew he was going to go, top 3 picks. I mean, there's some logic to a player that's, at the top of the boards that's saying, hey, I don't want to tear an MCL.
Same with
those my underwear.
Wasn't that same with Slick Willie from Chicago?
Slick Willie. Who's this?
Cal Williams.
Oh, you talking about Caleb Williams?
Caleb, yeah.
Slick Willie.
Yeah, and And he caught some flack for that, right? I think he went to the combine.
That's Caleb watching Jacob Set at the Oval Office right there.
And by the way, did you guys watch when the coach came up and he met him? Why was he dressed like he was just met Neo in the Matrix? And like, did you see that? He looked like the guy from Grandma's Boy. Like, how did he see me?
It's such a strange. The latest Grok AI generated image I seen was a picture of Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams taking a selfie together, and they got their hands up and they got their nails painted together.
Shut up.
Get ready to go.
So, I'm telling you, man, it was hilarious. And again, it just now when you're a top prospect, I want to say this: when you're a top prospect, you have more to lose by performing in that combine, right? So I understand why those guys. I'm talking about, 50 and down, 100 and down, like, that's
Like
to me that's
yeah, I've always seen combine as a way to get for the middle draft picks to earn their place, get their name out, get their speed out. I mean, you can put stuff on tape, but if they haven't seen how fast you are, you haven't ran the 40 since high school kind of thing, you might be able to boost that stock a little.
Yeah. But again, the combine itself, if I've got a player graded really, really high and he has just an absolutely horrible combine, I do not drop him on my board. No one on our board will get penalized for a bad combine. You only get a bonus. Okay, so that way, if the tape shows this dude's just an absolute freaking dog, but he runs bad in his underwear, we're not going to drop him down. Now, someone has a chance to leapfrog him if they perform. It's not by much, though. It's just a minute bonus, but it's more or less kind of like what we're doing here with this spread is it's a way to go, oh, okay, big combine there, right? There's a -5 there, big combine for him, so he's an athletic freak, and we want to know those things, right? So it's important. Let's see here. Derek Harmon question from So Turtles. Can we look at Derek Harmon out of Oregon? He's projected top 3 D tackle 2. So here's where we got Derek Harmon. We've got him sitting in the 43 spot currently on the consensus big board. They had him 26. The PFF big board has him 83rd. We have him 43rd. Okay. Now, PFF 22, 654th highest graded defensive lineman, jumped to 72 and 23, jumped to 22 and 24. Okay. So you're seeing huge progression there, right? Consensus big board has him as a top 30 pick. We have him sitting at 43. I would have no problem with them taking Derek Harmon in the first round. I wouldn't. Why? He's in the green, right? Tier 1 of importance, and he's a player that's showing true progression. And if he comes out and he gets a 9+ RAS, and Goody loves those dudes, I would have no problem with it. Same thing to be said with Alfred Collins. Same thing to be said with these edge defenders, right? Mm-hmm. Walter Nolan, obviously he was higher, right? Significantly higher for us. So that's the one. That's the two that really stick out to me because we know Mason Graham's going to be long gone. He's probably going to be a top 5 pick, right? So Kenneth Grant out of Michigan, Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss, those are two that I'm like, if they're there, that's probably my top guys as it sits right now. But again, if Goody looks at Derek Harmon and says, hey, we like him a lot more, right? If they like him or Alfred Collins more, I don't have a problem with it because it's still kind of in that wheelhouse. If that makes sense. So.
And you can always get Deion Walker if you miss on those guys. So.
Definitely. Deion Walker will be around. Where's he at on our board, Emilio?
Clayton's tired of me talking about him. We got to pull it
up. I'm glad someone else loves Kentucky players because if I talk about him, people say, "Oh, it's just because he's a Kentucky fan." So is he lower or higher? Let's go Control F here real quick in a second. Wearing that out.
129, 128. He would.
Is he really okay? So
here's the guy.
128. All right, got it. So. Deion Walker is 128 on our board. Now, why is that? He was 178th defensive lineman in 22. He jumped all the way to 43 last year. And then this year he dropped to 257. PFF Big Board has him at 73. Consensus Big Board has him at 50. We've got him at 128. So, Tim, if the Consensus Big Board sees him as a top 50 pick, unless something dramatically changes, I have a hard time believing he'll be my best defensive lineman available when he goes off the board. Now, again, if you get this guy right here from 23, you're getting a dog. Now, keep in mind the reason we got these up here and we talked about the reason we added it to the board. You guys remember Jaden Reed caught us off guard. Well, if you'd looked at his grade the year before, Totally the opposite from Edgerrin Cooper. The year of, dog. Year before, not so much. Jaden Reed, the year of, not so much. The year before, dog. Deion Walker definitely fits that mold, so there's a little bit of precedent there. Now, why did they take Jaden Reed at wide receiver? Because they had him in on a visit. He scorched the 40-yard dash, and obviously he killed the interviewing process. Something like that could happen with Deion Walker too. Definitely.
Right. But then look at the man
Telling
right
me
below
there's
him.
a chance.
Look at the man right below him, Clay. Thor. I mean, consistent, 22, 23, 24. The only thing that's killing him are his placements on the big boards, which could change, obviously, but these are the early big board numbers, so that's why he's kind of low.
Yeah. I love it. Thor is one of those dudes, man. If you can get him at 130, somewhere around there, wherever we pick in the 130s, 140s.
Yep.
Shoo, dude. Let's see. Where are we picking at? 158? If you can get him at 158 and he's 132 on our board, and because the consensus big board and the PFF big board have him in the 250s and the 230s, sign me up, man. And that's where you got to look at once the horizontal board is built, guys, you have all this information horizontally, and then it's by grade vertically. You see these clusters of players. You'll see Deion Walker, Thor Griffith, David Bailey, whoever else, Darius Alexander. They'll be grouped together in the defensive tackle spot. And then when you get to pick 110 or wherever you're picking at 122, and you look up and you go, man, we need a D tackle here, but there's 6 players. You either use your cluster buster or you use one of those trades that you already structured in place weeks before the draft starts. You call up that team and go, hey, let's trade back 10 spots. That happened with Jaden Reed. That's a perfect example. They traded back, right? And we were going, man, why are they not taking – I can't remember the kid out of Tennessee, the wide receiver, Jalen Hyatt.
Yep.
We were like, this has got to be Jalen Hyatt here, right? He's the best on the board. They traded back. I'm going, oh, he ain't going to be there. And then they traded back again, and I'll never forget spinning around. I used to have the board right here. I looked back and I looked at Ryan. I went, who the hell have they got their eyes? They got their eyes on someone that no one else is looking at. It was Jaden Reed because they knew no one had him ranked that high, and he crushed the interviewing process in-house. Next thing you know, they take Jaden Reed, and who was our leading receiver the last 2 years. So
Yeah.
that's how that stuff kind of falls into place. Emilio, David.
I just
Bailey.
looked at Emilio's tagline. I just saw it.
I can't
Live
see
for
it.
compression.
Hold up a minute. Let's go full screen here. Rusty lives for
Oh, boy.
This show sucks so bad. So bad. All right. So we looked at Derek Harmon there. Anybody else got anything to add to Derek Harmon here? I love how it drifted into Deion Walker and Thor Griffith talk.
Yeah.
But seriously, it's important to kind of look, where some of these players are hitting as you're talking about the same position. Ben Holden, are you guys going to have a first-round draft contest? Yes, we are. So much like our fantasy football league this year, but instead of there being a payout, through whoever, Yahoo, whoever does the fantasy thing, what we're going to do is we're going to have a contest of who can get – we got to have tiebreakers too. We got to be careful here, okay? So we're going to have everybody in our Patreon group, okay? If you guys aren't in the Patreon group, go to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. If you're a member of one of the 3 tiers, I think the cheapest is like $3. That'll get you access to all of our chats and other giveaways and things that we do. What I think we should do, guys, is we'll create a separate chat, and we'll have everybody put who they think the Packers are going to take in the first round, second round, and third round, okay? And the way that'll work is if there's multiple people that pick a specific player in the first round and they get it right, then the second round will be the tiebreaker. Then the third round will be the tiebreaker. And whoever's closest to where that player gets drafted, I think we'll come up with a unique set of rules to make sure there's a winner and there's not 5 ties, okay? And we'll give away a piece of autographed memorabilia, a jersey or something like that. I think that'd be fun. What do y'all think?
I like it. Let's do it.
Well, Tim, do me a favor. Don't let me forget about it.
All right, Emilio, here's how we're going to handle this. Me and Emilio, how about we go double or nothing for tattoos? Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
he's already trying to get out of the tat. Look.
So, all right.
He's
What?
already
Here,
trying to
what'd you
weasel
got?
his way out of it.
I'm
His
listening.
pride took over.
Because I'm just
His
trying to
pride
think,
took
like,
over.
if I lose, I'd have to incorporate the Emilio hat with the sombrero, obviously the car, and then some sort of like top 10. I don't know. How do you include the draft, into that tattoo?
I don't know what to think.
The
of.
I don't know,
Clock.
Jacob. I've never had a tattoo, so I'm not going to double or nothing on that. So that's all you, my man.
Yeah, Holmes
I
is
think we should get. I think Emilio should have to get a tramp stamp of the wall on his back. You know?
just as property of ICE.
Unbelievable. God, 2025 has been a wild year already.
That first round draft contest, Clay, is that just Patreon, or we're just sticking to Patreon for that? No, YouTube.
I think we should limit it to the pay. If we do the entire, everybody, it's going to be wild. Going to be hard to kind of. We have a hard time chasing down 3 winners every week. You know what I mean? So I think we're going to try to steer stuff towards the Patreon group because everything's just so organized there. And it's easily moderated that you can keep the knuckleheads out that are just wanting to say random stuff and be toxic. You know what I mean? I think it's just a little bit better system set up there. But Ben Holden says, okay, that's the one we already hit, right? Ron Sandville, way too much stocks is put in the combine 40, in my opinion. Completely agree. Now, it's important, right, Ron? I know you agree with that, but I'm with you, man. This whole 200ths of a second determines whether a player is better than the other. That's just silly to me. And some people, they'll even look at like offensive linemen and go, why do they run the 40-yard dash? Foot speed matters. It matters how quick you get one foot down as opposed to the other. They look at that like a measurement of how quick a lineman's feet are. You still have the agility test, the 3-cone, the shuttle, all that stuff. But that 10-yard split and that 40-yard dash for offensive linemen, I know scouts think about that kick step. They think about that kick step. They think about that, how coordinated these players are and how much burst they have in terms of their foot speed. That stuff does translate a little bit, but I'm with you, man. The 40-yard. A good example is my boy Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame, right? He ran that sideways 40, and everybody went, that's going to hurt him. And I'm going, well, somebody going to get a damn dog, and they did. Baltimore got a dog, right? Mm-hmm. Every single year, he's just been outstanding there playing safety for the Ravens. So I think there's a lot to that. What do you guys think about the 40-yard dash? Y'all big? I think it's exciting. I think it's fun. And, again, there is something to be said as well about what we talked about. I use that tryout analogy. When you got, all right, everybody in the world's watching you right now, can you perform? I think there's a little bit of something to that as well, mental toughness type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the 40 is at some point you're going to need to know speed. You want to know who's the fastest. Christian Watson was a burner for a reason. But, yeah, I do think that Ron's onto it. You sometimes can put way too much into the 40, but you need to know how fast the dude is, at least kind of baseline.
I think it's more important for some players than it is for others. Like you get those mid-tier guys that, a killer 40 time might bump them up a little bit. And then you get guys that it might hurt their stock a little bit. But I think Ron's right, too. I think we might put a little too much into 40 times, especially as fans. We get fixated on that kind of stuff. And then especially like, we were talking about Jaden Reed, you see, his time versus, what the Packers had him timed at, how many times are you going to run the 40? Where did you run the 40? What day of the week is it? What kind of compression shorts are you wearing today? Are you going to have 100th of a second difference? I think we can get caught in the weeds there with a lot of the specifics on the 40 times. But, it's like Emilio said, you got to find out if your guy's got, afterburner speed or not. And it's a good metric for that.
Yeah, completely agree. All right. You guys good if we take a couple of questions here on Patreon real quick about free agency?
Yeah,
all right,
sure.
Here we go. Johnny in free agency says Josh Sweat. He is comparable to Rashawn Gary and Max Crosby at a fraction of the cost. I saw 10 to 12 million. He's only 28, so still young. Give him a 3-year deal. So let's pull up Josh Sweat real quick. I think I've got it ready to go. I think, believe it or not, I was responsible enough to do a little bit of show prep today. Y'all believe that? Pretty good.
What?
Yeah. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. They'll expect it all the time. You know what I mean? Josh Sweat, here we go. So, obviously, like he said, he's going to be 28 this year, 6'5", 265, ran a 4.5 40 out of Florida State. He was a 4th-round pick in 2018. Been with the Eagles, obviously. Let's go year by year here. Let's start his rookie year, 65.9, 63.7, 70.2, 76.1, 86.6 in 2022. So, that's where he peaked, 68.3. And then this year, a 75.7. That's a pretty solid grade. Would you guys consider Josh Sweat good or great?
I'd go definitely good.
I agree.
Yeah. I would have to say good as well. You've seen a peak, then you've seen him drop, kind of come back to it. But is it just because Philly's good this year? Did he do bad when they were bad type thing? So
Yeah, and the
Some would
coverage.
say he's great. I wouldn't say that. I would say he's good.
I'd
I'm
say
not
he's
gonna
good.
say he's great, but he's good.
Does anybody know J. Cole's? Is this a Josh Sweat that was complaining about the snow? If that's the case,
Oh no! Why you got to do it to my boy Johnny B here, Jay? What's wrong with you, man? That's a no go for me, dog. If the guy can't play in the snow, you know what I mean?
Sit your butt outside.
Until you warm up. Yeah, 75.7. Here's my knock against it. 28 years old. You're going to take snaps away from LVN, who I feel like is starting to improve. I'm willing to take snaps away from LVN for someone like a Khalil Mack. To me, this just kind of feels like it would be an improvement. There's no doubt. But I definitely feel like there's bigger needs on the defense than edge, right? I think you need to find that true 3 tackle. You need to find that. If Ja's not here, you're going to need corners galore, like we said. Yes, too old for this says I consider him aight. I think he meant all right.
He's all right.
So, for me, it would be and he gave a number, and that's why I love the comment he made here. Johnny made. It wasn't Johnny B. It just said Johnny. He said, I saw 10 to 12 million, give him a 3-year deal. So if you're saying 3 years at 10 to 12 million, I would say no. That's just me personally. Let's go around the horn with that. Emilio, would you say yes or no to that?
that's a no for me, dog.
All right. Jacob, Tim?
no.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So appreciate it, Johnny.
I like the idea though. I like that you're doing a little digging.
Absolutely. Yeah. And he's a player too, that here's the thing. If the market's oversaturated and that number comes down to 7-8 million, I might be like, hey, all right, let's add a little depth here, right?
Yep.
So things could change in that regard. I don't think it's a bad idea. I just if you made me answer one way or another, I'm saying no. All right, next is Greg S. in the Patreon group says Darius Slay said he will definitely only be playing one more year, but it won't be with the Eagles. He's still under contract with the Eagles for next year. So that's a player that they'd either have to cut him for cap, as a cap casualty, or you'd have to trade for. Let me grab our boy. I know I got him in here somewhere. Where's he at? Darius Slay. Let's pull Darius Slay's card up and see if we would be interested in old Darius Slay. Obviously,
put that
he's
name in my mouth right there.
He's had a pretty good career, right? Pretty decent, at least on the surface. It seems that way. This year, not bad, but definitely not his best year. So he's going to be, is he 34? He's 34 years old. All right. We talked about you need to get older, boy. Let me tell you, this man will do it for you. Okay. PFF grades starting his rookie year, 50, 70, 78, 81, 80. That was when he was in Detroit. 75, 56, 62, 81, 73, 68, 67. So it kind of feels like his best football is behind him, obviously. You probably expect somewhere in the upper 60s to lower 70s top PFF grade. Does he fix the problem for us? He, grade-wise, he's in that range that we were talking about. Some of these guys I like in free agency, which was, let me see, the guy from Minnesota, Byron Murphy from Minnesota, 73.4, Carlton Davis from Detroit, and DJ Reed from the Jets. I just think these guys, you don't have to trade anything, right? And they're 27, 28 years old. You got a better chance of hitting in the 80s on a score with these guys as you would like a Darius Slay. What do y'all think about Darius Slay? Go around the horn with that and we'll wrap up.
Hard pass.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
not for me.
at that point, you're probably trading Ja to them for Slay. I mean, something crazy like that. So I would just restructure Ja and move forward.
No.
No.
Hard no.
No way, Slay.
All right. We got one last comment here. Everybody's pretty much know to Darius Slay, right? I mean, y'all are tough to deal with. It's like my age. Look at that bald emoji.
Over here,
All right.
say his name one more time. Say it one more time.
Exactly right. All right. So this final question here, somebody read it for me. I'm going to pull up the roster from that game.
From Aaron Rodgers, I just saw and tagged you in a tweet, Clayton. Goot is at the Shrine Bowl. looking at a wide receiver / cornerback 1-on-1. Just something to look at.
All right. So he said cornerback, wide receiver, 1-on-1. Is that right?
Yep.
All right. The wide receivers on the East-West Shrine roster are Trey Harris from Ole Miss, Caden Prather, wide receiver from Maryland, Ricky White from UNLV. Nick Nash has been getting talked about a lot here lately out of San Jose State. LeJonte Wester out of Colorado, Ja'Cory Brooks out of Louisville, Antoine Wells Jr. out of Mississippi, Ole Miss, and then 194 is Will Shepard out of Colorado. So if you're going just top 100, we were just talking about our boy Trey Harris, right? Maybe Goody's got his eyes on Trey Harris, see if he got that dog in him. Anybody else on this list that you think, hey, man, Goody, make sure you take a look at him? Or is it just Trey Harris? I mean, 46 all the way down to 114 is a big drop-off, right?
Yeah.
Ricky White.
Yeah, I was just going to say Ricky White wouldn't be a bad look. And I think I like Ja'Cory Brooks too. I'm not positive, but I mean, you want to see kind of everybody. You want to see who's good, and we're probably looking at corners too at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go to corners. Cornerback, you got two in the top 100, Siobhan Ravel Jr. out of East Carolina, and you got Zy Alexander out of LSU. You guys know I've drafted him a couple times in my mocks. Then you got outside of the top 100, Mello Dotson out of Kansas, his teammate Kobe Bryant out of Kansas. Keep mentioning it. You notice how there's a name or two that just continues to get mentioned every year, continues to get mentioned. Like Kobe Bryant's one that keeps – I don't know if it's just because his name or what, but I've mocked him a couple times. People keep asking about him. It's a name that just keeps popping up. Just make a little mental note. Jamari Harris, cornerback out of Iowa in the 159 spot. Justin Wally, cornerback out of Minnesota in the 165 spot. Jabbar Muhammad out of Oregon at 166. So the two that stick out here to me, Siobhan Ravel Jr. at 25 out of East Carolina and Zy Alexander 90 out of LSU. What do you guys think about that? Who's Goody looking at over there, boys?
I think all the above.
Yeah.
I would want to see – he probably wants to see it like I do if that Siobhan guy can compete against higher caliber play because they've got him ranked pretty high.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he's as good as Quinyon Mitchell, but it's kind of the same story from last year, right? Small school, see how he can perform against these guys. So that's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun, man. We're going to be live for the East-West Shrine Bowl. As we're going to be going live normal for the show. That game will be going on, kicking off at about the same time on Thursday night. So we'll try to give you any information that comes across Twitter in real time as we do the show. But then make sure you earmark Saturday, okay? This Saturday coming up. Next Saturday, however you want to say it, is going to be the Senior Bowl, and it's going to be at like 2:30 in the afternoon Eastern time, I think it is, maybe Central, somewhere in the afternoon. We're going to do a live watch party, okay? We will not have the game on our screen because we're not allowed to, but what we want everybody to do is tune into the game, hop on the stream, we'll watch it together, and just have a very casual kickback, eat some good food, watch a little football together, talk Packers and some of these players that are going to be at that game. Because, again, the Shrine Bowl is important, don't get me wrong. But if you look here at the top prospects, right, at the East-West Shrine game, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players in the top 100, right, with Chris Paul Jr. right outside the top 100. So you got 6 in the top 100. If you go to the Senior Bowl, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. See what I'm saying? 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. You got a ton of players. Who's this guy right here, Tim? Who's that guy right there?
Here's a guy.
Deion Walker going to be in that one. So there's Maxwell Harrison, the other guy I was talking about. He's 61st overall right now. So the Senior Bowl is like the main event, but the East-West Shrine game is awesome too. So we'll be live for that. Hopefully the guys are available. If you're not, it's okay. I can fly solo in here talking and just watching some ball. But I think grabbing a notepad, get the whiteboard out, watch the Senior Bowl live, and just take comments in the chat, just have a conversation about these players in real time. It'd be a lot of fun.
So you say that one more time. Thursday night's the Shrine Bowl, and then Saturday afternoon to be the Senior Bowl?
Yeah, Saturday afternoon is going to be our Senior Bowl watch party. Matter of fact, do we have that on the banner? I think we do, Tim. Yeah, we don't have a time. We need to put the time in there. That's my bad. Let me go Senior Bowl. I want to give you guys the correct time. If they'll listen. Yeah, 2:30 Eastern time, Jacob. So
okay. I'll be there. That'd be fun. Let's get as many people in here watching that together. And I'm telling you, dude, that Senior Bowl, you see who shines there, It's kind of like watching. I mean, that to me is a very big indication of who could make that jump to the next level.
It absolutely is, man. And then you can, what I love about this, because since it's Big Board website too, is like you can go quarterbacks. So here's the quarterbacks that are going to be featured: Jalen Milroe, Jackson Dart, Will Howard out of Ohio State, Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon. So these guys are going to be competing against each other, right? It's going to be absolutely awesome. So it's going to be a lot of fun, man. If y'all are available, I'd love to have you. We'll see if we can get a couple of guests lined up too. That'd be a blast. So we'll see if we can do that. Anything else, boys? Anything at all before we wrap up here?
Deion Walker is the answer.
You need a cornerback, Deion Walker can. You need a wide receiver, Deion Walker will help your wide receiver room.
That's going to be that meme. What's it from the Pawn Stars? What can I get? I can get you Deion Walker.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's like will the Packers trade up and in the draft and try to grab a stud, wide receiver, like I don't know, name one, right? Trade, who's their top wide receiver on the board?
Jaden Higgins.
Yeah. Will the Packers trade up in the second and get Jaden Higgins? Best I can do is Deion Walker. Sorry.
Thick.
All right, boys. Thank y'all for your time. This was fun, man. Seth Ruder, thank you for the super chat, sir. That video was hilarious. I'm going to go share it on Twitter. I just couldn't share it on here because we get hit with the copyright. But yeah, that's exactly how that game should go today. We got, like I said, playoff football kicking off here in just a few hours. Aaron Rodgers, our Aaron Rodgers, not the Aaron Rodgers. Thank you for the super chat, sir. Josh Martin, thank you for the super chat. Emilio, thank you for all your hard work on the draft board. Tim, Jacob, thank y'all for your time. And we'll see y'all tonight, 7 p.m. Central for PTA Live. Everybody have a great day.
Then we go. We out.
Bye, guys.